And unpale means let's talk in Creole. Our mission here at Origin and our core values are authenticity, preservation, respect, integrity, and sharing. Tonight, we would absolutely like to thank our sponsors, Ms. Angie of Accent Style Boutique, Affordable Suites, Naked and Natural, Automated System Consulting, Marb Language Services with Natasha Zamor interpreting in Creole, and Itiba Services with Yancy de Abacoa interpreting in Spanish. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have Allison White, and our topic for tonight is, what is your gut telling you? Allison is Jamaican born and is a Florida-based certified herbalist and holistic health and wellness professional whose healing practice centers on Eastern medicine, natural remedies, and caring for the whole self. Allison's educational background is that she has a bachelor's degree in business management from the University of Phoenix. Her master's in Oriental medicine is from East West College of Natural Medicine. It's very important for you to know that Allison is a very foundational member of the Afro and the Afro-Caribbean community here in the Tampa Bay area, and we love her for that. Allison is the founder of Naked and Natural, and that is a plant-based skincare line who offers vegan-friendly products and workshops. It is my pleasure on behalf of Origin Foundation to welcome you and to have you be edified and educated by Ms. Allison White.
Wow, thank you for that introduction. Hopefully I can live up to everything you just said. Well, today we are actually going to talk about what is your gut telling you. So let's get into it. Now, unfortunately, with all the information out there, what happens is that we get so bogged down and so overwhelmed with information that we don't really know where to start. We don't know what to do, where to start, where to go. So we just kind of let it go and deal with our issues with our digestive system. Well, today I want to talk about 5 or 6 points in where to start in regards to your digestive system and how to go about helping to heal it or fix it, or just start calming it down to make it better overall and give you a healthier lifestyle. The first point that I want to make in regards to your digestive system, the first thing that I would do is learn your body. And I know it sounds very easy and it sounds very simple. I know my body, I live with myself, I'm XYZ years old, so I know what's going on, but unfortunately we don't, because we have everyone else telling us what to do with our bodies. From the doctors, from the Western doctors to, our parents or our society telling you what to do or that you should eat healthily, but they don't tell you what to eat in regards to eating healthily. So what would be good for me isn't necessarily good for Natasha or Marie or Ram. We don't know where to start because it's just overwhelming information. So knowing your body is the first step. So what I mean by that is, what happens when you eat? Do you know what happens when you eat? How does your body accept the food? Is your stomach upset after you've eaten? 20 minutes after you eat, do you have to go to the bathroom? Do you feel constipated after you've eaten certain things? Do you have diarrhea? When you are upset, it could create IBS or irritable bowel syndrome. So when you have IBS, do you know that you have IBS? Because maybe you had a fight with your husband or your spouse or your children. Did you get upset when it comes to work because your boss is writing you for whatever reason and you eat or you can't eat because your stomach is upset? So these are things that you really do have to pay attention to in regards to your digestive system. There is a correlation that we're now finding out with your gut brain connection, meaning when you eat, it affects your brain. So do you feel sluggish? Do you feel tired? Do you get anxiety after you eat? And interestingly enough, do you feel depressed after you eat? Because that is something that actually happens. It's happened to me. It's happened to clients of mine. After you've eaten, you're in a good mood. Everything feels good. 20 minutes to an hour after you've eaten, you start feeling sad and you don't know why you're feeling sad, or you start feeling depressed and you don't know why. Or maybe you're anxious because what you've chosen to eat isn't helping your system, isn't grounding you, isn't doing what it's supposed to do. When you eat, you're supposed to feel good. You're not supposed to feel bad. Your joints aren't supposed to be inflamed. You're not supposed to feel bad after you eat. So paying attention to these things, that is the first thing. And I know it sounds very simple, but that is the first thing that I would recommend, is paying attention to what you eat and how you feel after you've eaten. The second thing that I would recommend to do after you eat, before you eat, I should say, is keep a food journal. It sounds very easy and it sounds very simple, but we're so used to eating on the go because everything is so busy. Everything is so fast paced. So some of us eat in our car because we're on the go. We have jobs, we're salespeople. Some of us are eating at our desk and we want to quickly eat and get back to work because we have to take care of our families. But if you don't keep a food journal, you don't know what is going on. You don't know how much you're eating. You don't know, okay, is this food what's affecting me, or is it because I just had an argument with my boss? It's both. So keeping a journal makes a world of difference. Now, on top of keeping a journal, I would do what is known as an elimination diet. And what I mean by that is, once you have an idea as to what's going on with your body and with yourself, start taking things out. So you wrote it in your journal, you're like, 3 days in a row, I've eaten a McDonald's sandwich, and 3 days in a row, my stomach doesn't feel good. Why? So now you're like, okay, what is it in the McDonald's sandwich? Why my stomach doesn't feel good? So, okay, for the next 2 weeks, I'm not going to eat anything from McDonald's. I'm not going to eat anything that has been making me feel bad based on what my food journal is telling me. On top of that, on top of doing the elimination overall, the other thing that I would definitely do is I have 3 surefire things that can get your digestive system in an uproar. And what's so funny about these 3 things, it's something that every single body eats. First thing is gluten. And I get a lot of people saying to me, oh, all of a sudden, you want to take away my gluten and my cookies and my cakes and my breads. All of a sudden, it's like gluten is a big issue. It's not all of a sudden. If you look back, you probably had an issue with gluten most of your life. But because no one ever told you to pay attention to what's going on, you did not equate the swollen ankles, you didn't equate the upset stomach, you didn't equate the acne, you didn't equate the headache or the migraines with eating gluten. But now that you're paying attention to your body, you're keeping a food journal, you know that when you eat cookies and cakes and crackers and bread, something happens to you. So gluten is a big, big thing. And I'm going to tell you a quick story. So back in 2014, I read a book called Wheat Belly. And that book was a pivotal point in how I start seeing what I eat. I read the book and it was talking about how gluten is a big issue. It creates acne, it creates joint pain, inflammation, it swells up your entire body. And all of these symptoms are things that I had been basically experiencing my whole life. And one of the things it said that I was very skeptical about, it says, when you eat gluten or when you take gluten out of your diet and you put gluten back into your diet, what happens is you could actually start hallucinating. And I was like, that seems a little bit much. So for a month, 3 weeks, I decided I was going to do this for a month. And 3 weeks into it, I ended up getting meatballs for lunch because it was easy. And I'm like, well, there's no gluten in meatballs. It's fine. It's meat. What could go wrong? Well, half an hour after after I ate, I happened to be at my desk working, because of course I ate on my desk, happened to be at my desk working, and I look up really quickly because somebody called my name. And as I looked up, the person walked away from me. And as they're walking away, I kid you not, like, when they say chemtrails, where you can see the trail following you, like I could literally see the trail of the person. And I'm like, I know they were right there, and now they're there, but why are they still there? And it was like, wait, really? You really do hallucinate? And that was when I was like, wow, this really is a thing. And it made me be very diligent in what I eat. But the thing about gluten is that it's hard because it's quick and easy. You get a sandwich, you stop by Wendy's or McDonald's. Now I'm realizing, oh, there's breading on the chicken. There is binding in the breading. So even if you don't eat fast food, say you eat not meatballs, but what do you call it? The big one, meatloaf. So say you eat meatloaf, a lot of people put bread in the meatloaf as a binding. So it is literally everywhere. So you have to be your own advocate. You have to start paying attention. And that's where the difficulty comes in. We are a fast-paced world, and it's easy to stop and get food. Pizza is amazing. It's delicious. But pizza actually is the trifecta. I'll get into the trifecta in a second. Okay, so that's gluten. So being mindful about what you eat is one of the tenets you have to if you want your digestive system to start on a healing path. The second thing is what's known as nightshades. So nightshades is a part of a plant family called the Solanaceae plant family. And that covers a few things. Potatoes, regular white potato. It covers tomatoes. It covers eggplants. Yes, ma'am. It covers eggplants. It covers goji berry, any peppers. So in the Caribbean culture, I'm Caribbean, I love hot sauce. I love hot peppers, but I can't eat hot sauce and hot peppers anymore because it inflames me so bad that my stomach it gets so bloated and I get so uncomfortable that it's not something that I can eat. And I find a lot of people that are my clients that come to see me, they want to know what's going on. And that's part of what it is. So I have them take out nightshades out of their diet and see how it works. Now, for the French fry lovers, like myself, love some French fries, I will go to French fry heck or hell, but it's not something that you can eat. Between the oil and the French fries, the inflammation is absolutely insane. The third, I call them terrorists, that you need to take out of your diet is dairy. Dairy is not good for us, especially Black people, especially Asian people. We don't have the enzymes in our stomach to break it down the way it needs to be broken down. So it's something a lot of people say, well, I don't drink milk, but there's cheese. Cheese is delicious. Cheese is life for some people. There are certain cheese that you can eat. You can eat feta. You can eat sheep's and goat cheese, but you have to do those in moderation. Lately, I've been finding that there are hard cheeses that you can have. It's not as much lactose, so it's easier on your digestive system, but dairy is something that is a no-no. I would definitely take it out of the diet. I know, I'm telling you all the good things to take out of your diet. And I'm sure you're saying, what else is there for me to eat? There are things to eat. You just have to start, once you start small, it will make it easier for you to get the process going. So if you do an elimination diet, you're like, okay, if I can't have gluten, they have gluten-free options, but you have to be careful with the gluten-free options because they do have potato starch, which is an inflamer. So I know it sounds absolutely crazy and a little bit ridiculous to do some of these things, but in order to get a healthy digestive system and in order for your body to work the way it needs to work, these are things that really it's beneficial for you overall. Sometimes we cheat, I get it. You're missing the good food, you're missing the comfort, gluten is one of the biggest carbs, and carbs, really, it's scientifically proven that people go to carbs to give us that comfort that we need when we're in a bad mood or we don't feel good or we're having a bad day. But there's healthy carbohydrates out there for you. It's just a matter of doing a little bit of research of the things that will work for your body, the things that, because what's good for you and me is not good for everyone. And that's what people keep telling you. They keep telling you, oh, eat healthily. And you're like, okay, I'll eat healthily. And you eat a salad. But then there's the tomatoes in the salad. And salads really aren't good overall for your digestive system if you're having an issue with your digestive system. It's cold. And energetically, it's cold. And when you constantly put something cold on your digestive system, it may either cause constipation or it may cause diarrhea. So if you're thinking that you're eating healthy with salads, just be mindful and pay attention to what your body tells you after you've eaten the salad. So those are the 3 things that I would definitely recommend to take out of your diet. Next time I come in, I'm going to talk about adding sugar. I won't throw everything all at you at once, but sugar is also something that you have to be mindful. And when I say sugar, I don't mean sugar that you get from fruits. I mean processed sugar. So these are things that you definitely want to be mindful of. Now, the third thing that I highly, highly, highly recommend is to do once a year a full body cleanse, but you have to do the cleanse correctly. Sometimes people will do a cleanse and they won't put the good bacteria back into their system, so they notice that their body isn't working as optimally as it should. But doing a cleanse is very important because think about your intestines as a pipe, and when that pipe gets clogged, nothing can get through. And in fact, the walls of your intestine, it's not absorbing the food the nutrients that you really need to get from your food so your body can work the way it needs to work. So doing a full body cleanse is a wonderful way to get your body working. You will notice that your hair will be a little bit healthier, a little bit shinier. You will notice that your breath, your body odor, everything will change for the better once you do a full body cleanse. Now, segueing into the 4th thing, what you really need to do after you've done the full body cleanse is add prebiotic, which is fiber, and probiotic, which is what your body needs to get your digestive system working the way it really needs to work. So prebiotic, we do not get the fiber that we need overall. We can't. All the foods are processed. So unless we're eating whole, healthy foods, we're not getting the fiber. And we can't eat whole, healthy foods as often as we want to, simply for the fact is it's a quick going world. And who's going to stop at the supermarket to get an apple or a mango and eat that in their car? You can't, so you go for the quick, healthy things. So we're missing the fiber because once the food is processed, the fiber is taken out. And what happens when you don't have enough fiber in your food? You're not satiated. So it causes you to have cravings. It causes you to run to the pizzas, the French fries. It's like you're now wanting to eat all the, I don't want to say the bad things, but let's say all the things that's not good for your system. And with the cravings not having enough fiber, it makes things worse. So what you want is you want the fiber. You want to find a way to add fiber to your diet. I personally do not like buying fiber in the store. I like making my own. It's very simple. Flaxseed and oh my goodness, it just went out of my head. The little chia seeds. Thank you. Flax seeds and chia seeds, 1-to-1 ratio. You get the whole flaxseed. It looks like little sesame seeds. You get those. You put it in a grinder. You grind it up. And then you add, so 1 part flax, 1 part chia seed. And the good thing about it is that you can keep it on your counter. How I do mine is I add a little bit of honey to it. If another option to do that is you can add I would say about 2 teaspoons to any, drink that you like to do, or if you like to do the quick gluten-free oats, you can do quick gluten-free oats and add that to your diet so you can get your system going. But you have to add water. Water is very important when you're going to do your fiber, because then you have just bulk and nothing is moving. So you have to add at least 64 ounces of water. The rest of water you can potentially get from your foods, or you can get from the fruits that you're adding now to your diet. But probiotic, prebiotic. So what you do is you do the prebiotic, you do the fiber first, and then you take your probiotic. So think about your fiber as the soil, and you want your soil to be fertile. Then you put your probiotic on top of that. So now you can get to grow the good bacteria to balance the bad bacteria in your gut flora. And you want that because that, again, will cut down cravings. So probiotic, prebiotic, and enough water to help the digestive system flow the way it needs to flow. The last thing I would say that you definitely need to add to your diet is bitters and digestive enzymes. These will go a long way in helping your system run optimally. So bitters, what that does is digestive bitters, you can get it in certain foods. You can get it in tinctures. And I brought an example of what a tincture would be. So I'm going to pass this around and you guys could just basically put a little bit on your hand and just taste it to see what it's like. So bitters, what it does, it helps your digestive juices to flow so that your food can get broken down and processed. So it gets the hydrochloric acid in your stomach going. And the hydrochloric acid will help to break down fats and help to break down protein. And you really want the fats and proteins to be broken down. The digestive enzymes will help to break down the other foods in your stomach, like protease and amylase. So we want all of that to help things to flow, to help things to move, so that your system can basically work as optimally as it can. Back in the day, before you eat, it is bitter because it is considered a digestive bitter, but it is something that you need. And interestingly enough, bitters are actually good for the heart because it gets the blood flowing and gets the blood moving and gets the heart pumping the way it needs to. So it's also heart healthy. So those are, I would say, the most important things that you really need. The enzymes to break the food down so that you're able to eliminate properly. You're able to go to the bathroom, because if you don't eliminate, it's like you're not flushing your toxins. You're not flushing out what needs to be flushed out when you eliminate. You're not getting things moving. And that is, again, going to help everything work the way it should work. Now, the main reason, you're like, no, I'll pass it. Now, the main reason for all of this is, we know our Western doctors are great. They are doing the best that they know how, but they don't know your bodies like you know your bodies. So understanding holistically what is going on with you, when you do go see your Western doctor, you can add to this. You can say, hey, I noticed that this happens to you. I notice that this happens to me when I eat certain things or when I eat certain foods. So going to see your Western doctor and having the pre-information of these 5 things to start with really will make a difference. And it should make things where you're working together with your Western doctor, plus your holistic view on what you're doing and what how you're getting your system to work the way it should, work hand in hand. And that's what we want. That's exactly what we want. So that is the start of everything. It's not the only thing, it's just the start so that you know where to go, you know what to do. So when you have issues, okay, all right, I did just eat a whole pizza by myself last night. That's why I don't feel that great. Or I did, eat XYZ, so my stomach, or I had an argument with my spouse or my kids or my husband. So that is why, I either don't feel like eating, I don't have an appetite, or I want to comfort eat, or, I have diarrhea, or I have constipation. So these are the things that I would really pay attention to and that I would really recommend to start with, because we all need a place to start. Starting to is the hardest part of anything. It's like sometimes you need to do a thing, but you don't know where to start. So you procrastinate. I'm the queen of that. I don't know where to start sometimes, so I procrastinate. And once you know where to start, it will make things easier for you as a whole. Any questions? Yes.
Do we eat blue cheese?
No. No blue cheese. If you look it up, there are a list of cheese that you can eat. I know Swiss cheese is good because they cure it. When you have cheese that you've cured for a long time, it's easier on your digestive system because sometimes it's a hard cheese. Blue cheese, my understanding is definitely a no. American cheese, absolutely no. Yes.
Recommendations for acid reflux?
Yes, interestingly enough, apple cider vinegar. It's like acid reflux or acid. Yes, it helps to come because your acid reflux, from my understanding, is that you don't have enough acid. I think I have that right. You don't have the proper acid in your system. So when you eat, it just comes up. And what you eat also creates that acid in your stomach as well. So if you do like maybe a capful of apple cider vinegar in water, that could help calm it down. Some people will tell you to do Tums or what have you, but that is getting rid of the acids in the stomach that you need to digest your food, which is not beneficial.
We have a question from Nandi, so I'm going to open Nandi's mic.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Nandi. How's it going?
Good. How are you? So
Pretty
you spoke about doing a full body cleanse once a year. What are your suggestions? I've heard variations from water fasting to fruit cleanses to removing sugar, removing breads. What would you suggest would be ideal?
So for me, currently, I like to do the D herbs one. And I don't know if you've heard about it. It's D and then HERBS. You have a 10-day cleanse and you have a 21-day cleanse. or your favorite cleanse, honestly, because there's so many different ones that you can do. You can even do it yourself, meaning you know that you're going to get fiber, you're going to do fruits, you're going to do vegetables, you're not going to do any processed food. So that's an option for you too. You can do that for about 2 weeks. And that means that there is no meat. That means that there's no processed foods. It's just pretty much water, vegetables, fruits. That's all you're doing. If that's a way you want to go, if you don't want to spend the cost for the D-herb cleanse. I like the D-herb cleanse because it comes with a kit. So it's explaining to you what you're taking and why you're taking it and what you don't eat. If I'm not mistaken, from the last one I did last year, I do believe there's no meat, there's no shrimp. It's mostly just fruits and vegetables.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Welcome.
Good to see you.
So I think I was thinking in terms of a cleanse, like the old fashioned where my grandmother used to give us something right before school starts.
Yes.
Everybody in the house.
Yep. Yes.
So it's like one bottle you drink and it's just for the day, but what you are saying it's for days.
Yes. See, when you're little, it's easy to do. And in Jamaica, we did the same thing, right? Before school, for me, my grandma did the Cinco Bible, which is the aloe leaf, and the dandelion, which is the worst thing ever. And we would drink that every night after dinner for about 4 days. And that would help us eliminate. It was gross. We had to do that. So that's an option that you can do. But what I'm saying is, that will let you run to the bathroom. For our life, we can't do that. So with things like the D-herb cleanse, it controls how things go. It's not going to be like, oh my God, I have to find a bathroom. Where do I go? It's not going to be like that. I've been using it for a few years now, and I find that it's pretty easy and gentle on the system. So that's why I recommend that.
So how old do you recommend for a cleanse for kids?
Okay, so that's a little bit tricky. I would say, we did it when we were younger and things are different now, but I would say anywhere from in your teens on.
Okay.
Because it's when your hormones start changing and your body odor start changing. But your hormones and your body odor, it's linked, but the problem is that when you add food to that, that also changes your odor. Interestingly enough, weirdly enough, when I stopped eating gluten, I noticed that I was not sweating as heavily as I used to sweat. My body odor changed because there's something in the gluten that did not work well for me. So if you eliminate it and then you start noticing, interestingly enough, look at that, because now you're paying attention. Now you're seeing what's going on with your body. Once you start paying attention to that, it will make a world of difference. And it will give you that, oh God, I could have done this years ago, but I didn't know. And now, everything smells good and feel good, and you overall feel good and amazing going through your day. You'll have more energy. And that's what a lot of people are missing these days. They don't have a lot of energy. They feel tired and sluggish. Now, what I did too, on top of the digestive bitters that I brought, I also brought some example of enzymes that you can have. So you don't have to get this brand, but this is the brand I take at home. So I actually, funny enough, take two. I take one called Ultrazyme, and I take one that has, before I had the digestive bitter, I took one with hydrochloric acid to get my hydrochloric acid to break down the proteins and the fats that was in my diet. So these are things that are really beneficial. If you have a good version of these, you definitely want to add that to your diet. Another thing too is if you don't want to do pills, this is a papaya enzyme, which we know that papaya is it's such an amazing enzyme and it's so good to break down the food. But if you don't want to do the pills, you can actually do papaya because if I'm not mistaken, I think it's year round in the store. You can add papaya to your diet. You can also add, on top of papaya, you can add pineapples if you're not allergic to pineapple. So you can do a papaya pineapple blend with some mango. That's a great way to start the morning. But if you want to continue to do juices or, shakes in the morning, what you want to do is you want to add something that is going to warm up the cold from the fruits, because I'm sure you're getting it from the freezer. So you want to add something like ginger that is going to warm, because if you continuously add cold things to your digestive system, it's not good for you. So adding ginger to it is really, really beneficial. Interestingly enough, fun facts, anyone here eat sushi? The ginger in sushi is specifically done that way. Like the ginger and the wasabi is really thought out because fish, it's cold. It's cold on your digestive system. It's energetically cold. So when you add the ginger, you eat the ginger is really good. It's going to warm things up. And then the wasabi is also really good because if there's any parasites in the fish that you're eating, the wasabi will take care of that. So fun facts. So any additional questions? Yes, okay.
On papaya seeds.
Papaya seeds, people say papaya seeds are good for parasites. So you can actually, when you get a papaya, you can try that out and you can add that to your shakes and your blend that you want to do in the morning. That's something that you can definitely do just to see if it's going to help. Because again, everyone's system is different. So you want to make certain that if you're taking it for a few days and you're noticing that something just doesn't feel right, maybe you want to stop and see how it works, or consult your physician and see what they say. Question?
I was taking notes for all the stuff you do. So plants, chia seed, probiotic.
Prebiotic, which is fiber.
All of them
Yes,
together.
yes.
Can you also add multivitamin, which you can use that if you're taking all of those?
So multivitamins is, for me, it's iffy because a lot of the times you take multivitamins and you go to the bathroom and you pee and it's bright yellow. So you kind of sort of pee out most of it. I used to do gummies, like the kids' gummies, because it's not as strong. So, and I noticed that it wasn't affecting me when I go to the bathroom. So if you're looking for a multivitamin, you can do something as simple as kids' gummies. But once you do the cleanse and once you start paying attention to your body and you notice that you're not as sluggish, now the nutrients from the multivitamins can be absorbed and it's now beneficial and it's now helpful. But if you're doing the multivitamins before you do the cleanse and before you take care of what you need to take care of, it's not as effective. So that's what I would say.
We have a question in the chat. Christina's asking, do you have a go-to brand for papaya enzyme?
Yes. It is called American Health. I don't know if you can see it. I get this on Amazon. It's papaya enzymes with chlorophyll. And I really like eating it. The great thing about it is that it's sweet. Yeah, it It's sweet, it tastes really good. You can eat it before your meal, or you can eat it after your meal, or you can just split it and do some before and some after. But that's my go-to brand. Again, it tastes good, so I can't complain, and it's chewable. So typically, I just toss like maybe 5 or 6 a time in my mouth, like before I eat, or if I've forgotten after I eat, I'll do maybe 7 to 10. Yes. There are some cleanses that have wormwood. Now, are you concerned about parasites and what's going on? Wormwood is actually pretty good. Some people add it, so that's something that is okay. And some cleanses that you buy, you will see wormwood in that. So, any other questions from our Zoom? Yes. Sure. No worries.
How often would you suggest?
Digestive once a year. Once a year, and in order to do it correctly, you have to add fiber and probiotic, because those who want to put, now you basically flushed out pretty much everything. So you want to add back the fiber and the probiotic, and you can get probiotic if you don't want to do any of the recommended, you can add sauerkraut, kimchi, goodness, what is that? Pickles. You can do kombucha, but I would not overdo kombucha for the simple fact it works for me, but it's also sugar. So I do it in moderation. So I would get like a bottle of kombucha and add some of it, maybe a third of it to my water, and drink it over the course of like 3 days. But your body's going to be different than mine. So see what actually works for you. Yes. No worries. Like doing a colonics? Yeah, those are good. Those are good. But when you do them, probiotic and prebiotic, absolutely put that back into your diet. In fact, don't wait after you've done it. Start doing it, because that's straight water flushing your system out, and it feels good, but now you have to put the things back in so that everything can work optimally.
There's a question in the chat. Nandi's asking, she says, every time I use kombucha, I get a headache. What do you think that can be?
It could be the sugar. And now, are you also using the same kombucha, or you are using the same brand? Because it depends on what a person puts in it. It could be maybe the preservatives. So say you decide to make your own kombucha, because they have their own SCOBY or SCOBY out there. So if you make your own kombucha and you find that you don't have the same effects, then maybe it's the preservatives that they're using that's affecting you. If it's not that case and you still do get the headaches, it could be the concentration of sugar or sugar with the probiotic. It could be what's affecting you.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, because I've tried various brands. I've never made it myself, but I had someone do a homemade version, and I still got the headache, and it was a different type of headache. So I wondered if it might have been kombucha. It's made from a mushroom, right?
No, if I'm not, it's made from fruits, and I want to say yeast. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was the yeast. So
it could be, because some people are really sensitive to yeast.
Okay, yeah. But thank you. Yeah, because I've tried various options and it just never sets.
Absolutely, and that's the key right there, Nandy. That's why I say if you pay attention to your body, you know what's going on. Because some people, interestingly enough, would still take the kombucha, even though it gives them a headache, because, oh, but it says it's healthy and it says it's good for my system. No, there's something in it that does not work. So once you start paying attention to your body, you know what works for you, you know what doesn't work for you. Then you know what you can take out and know what will never work for you. And that's
Okay.
beneficial.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
There is a question in the chat. Nicole Monique is asking, how do you make and mix the chai and flaxseed?
Oh, the chia and flaxseed?
Chia,
Okay, so
sorry.
no worries. So you get the chia seed, and do you have, if she has like a little coffee maker or a little blender, you can just blend up the chia seed, like I would say 1 part's chia, 1 part's flax. So take about a 1/4 cup of chia seed, put it in your coffee grinder and grind it up. You take that out, you take a 1/4 cup of what did I say? Chia seed? No, you grind your flax seed, and then once that's ground, you add your chia seed and basically shake it up and mix it together and put it on your counter. So if you're doing a smoothie in the morning, you can add a tablespoon or a couple tablespoons of chia seed, depending on what best works for you, your body. You can add the chia seed and blend that into your smoothie in the morning. But also don't forget the ginger, because the ginger is really important to warm up that cold smoothie that you're having in the morning. Mm-hmm. So that's like a tricky question, because is it tied into what's going on with your system? Is it that you're busy and you're just not eating? For me, I tend to say if you're not hungry, don't force yourself, but maybe have half an apple, because you don't want to come crashing down. Because sometimes when you're not eating, you don't realize that it's easy for you to crash. It's easy for your body to just, for you to get tired because you don't have the food to make the energy of your machine, which is your body, work the way it should. So apples are great. Apples with almond butter. Some people love peanut butter. I'm not a fan, but some kind of butter or some kind of nuts, because you need the protein, you need the carbohydrates, and you need the fats to operate your machine in an optimal way. So small little snacks throughout the day will help you where, yes, you're not hungry, but you can continue going. Your body will work the way it needs to work. Not too much juicing, because what happens with juicing is that it doesn't have the fiber in it. You lose the fiber when you juice too often. I'm not saying you shouldn't juice, because you can, but maybe if you juice and you want to add maybe some protein to it or some fiber, you can add the protein and fiber to that. But try to have the fresh raw fruits as often as you can to make certain that you're getting what it is that you need.
There is a question in the chat.
Sure.
Betty's asking, for cleansing, how often can you do it in a year? And what is D herbs, I believe, and C herbs?
The herbs, D is in dog.
Okay, D herbs.
So once a year. In my estimation and experience, once a year works best. I know someone who loves doing cleanses, and it's like, okay, I'm going to do cleanses twice a year. And I tell her, and it's my mom, so if she's on, I'm calling you out. I tell her to do the cleanse once a year, not twice a year. The D herbs is good, and it's just if you go online and look up D herbs, you can see it should have everything that you need, so you can see the option of what it is that you need. Now, the reason why I say once a year is because you are working on building your good bacteria and your bad bacteria. So if you do the cleanse too often, you're flushing out everything, and then you have to start from scratch again. You don't want to do that. You want to make certain that you're putting the good bacteria and you're balancing out your good and your bad bacteria. So that's why once a year. Any other questions?
I'll jump in. I don't want to hog the line, but I got another question.
Okay.
Do you have any preferred brands for your pre and probiotics? Any preferred brands?
So the prebiotic is I don't like a lot of the fibers that are out there. In fact, oh my goodness, there's one that a lot of people use. There's an ingredient that a lot of people use, and I find that it bulks me up and it bloats me really, really badly. So that's why I prefer to make my own from the flaxseed and the chia seed. Yeah. And then for the probiotic, you can do, if you don't want to do pills and you want to do it naturally, that's where the sauerkraut, the kimchi, those are really good probiotic. But the one that is being passed around is the papaya enzymes. Papaya enzymes are really good. So hopefully you can see that. But papaya enzyme, this is a good one that I like to use for the enzymes.
And if you guys cannot see the bottles, we posted it on the chat, so you can download the image. That way you can see it.
Do we have any other questions? Oh, before I forget, I do think I heard that people wanted to learn a little bit more about IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Okay, so IBS is something that the doctors call idiopathic. And what idiopathic means is that we don't know what the hell is going on. So we're just going to name it idiopathic. IBS tends to come from stress. It tends to come from being upset. It tends to come from like whatever is going on, whatever pensiveness or thoughtfulness or upset that you're going through. Pay attention to how it affects you, because it could either cause diarrhea or it could cause constipation. So knowing what happens, like say you have a big test coming up, and you're so stressed out and you're so upset about this test because you don't know how prepared you are for this test, that could cause irritable bowels. So is it going to be one or the other? So that is typically what you get with irritable bowel syndrome, which is different from ulcerative colitis, and it's different from Crohn's disease. Those are tests that the doctors can see in your intestines. So that's how you know that you have IBS, because those things will come back as clear that you don't have either one of those. So hopefully that answered that question.
There is a question in the chat. Betty's asking, what is recommended for leaky gut? Thank you.
Ooh, gut is it's a tricky issue. That is a food issue, and I'm hoping that I'm not wrong, but I want to say that it's also, that might be an autoimmune issue too, but I would have to go back and do a little bit more research on leaky gut. But leaky gut tends to be from the types of food that you're eating. So being mindful, so the food journal and keeping track of what's going on will let you know what's going on with leaky gut.
There is also a comment question in the chat from Jennifer. I was diagnosed with IBS in my teens. I discovered it was multiple food allergies. Do you think this could be the case for more people?
Yes, absolutely, because the food you eat makes a difference. And I think what I find is so sad is that the doctors won't really tell you. They'll say, oh, food is not, some doctors, not all of them, of course, but some doctors will actually tell you that food is not a big deal. And for a very, very long time, doctors weren't really required to take to have any kind of food therapy or nutrition in their practice. It's only in the last 5 or 10 years. So the old school doctors really didn't have that in their repertoire. So I would say, again, go back to paying attention, go back to what it is that you're eating that creates that issue in your irritable bowel syndrome. Everyone's system is different, and we know that your immune system is in your gut. So once you start strengthening your immune system, you actually start noticing a difference in what you eat, how you eat, what affects you, and all of that. Hopefully that answered the question, Jennifer.
I am going to piggyback on that question and say, could you elaborate a little bit on your immune system being in your gut? What do you mean by that?
Okay, let me see if I can break it down. So, recently the doctors have realized that 70% of your immunity is in your digestive system. And because it's in your digestive system, what you eat, how often you eat, what you do on a whole, how stressed you are, really affects your immunity. So if you're super stressed and you're not eating properly, or you're super stressed and you're eating all of the comfort foods, you're going to notice that you're going to be able to get sick easily. You're going to get colds easily, or flus, or any number of things, because your system is run down. When I say good bacteria and bad bacteria, that plays a huge part in your immune system as well. Some people, I hear people tease and say, oh, I have an iron gut, I can eat anything. So there are some people that can eat anything. And then there's some people that have to be mindful, because it could be maybe they were born with a deficiency. So they have to be really careful about what they eat, because what they were born with isn't helping them. So they have to strengthen that, as opposed to someone who was born with a strong immune system, because maybe your mom, ate a lot of things like maybe ginseng, or the roots from the Caribbean island, or certain things you're born with that will help you. Sometimes when you do have issues with your digestive system, with your immunity, maybe you have, oh my goodness, my brain. Maybe you have skin issues. What do you call that?
Rashes?
Psoriasis, and the other one, eczema, yes. So those things tell you that your immune system and what you're eating isn't doing anything for you. So doing an elimination diet you'll notice a huge calm down when it comes to, putting things in that are good for you. Did I answer the question?
Yes, I have another question.
Okay.
How about in general, diverticulum, the causes and solution possibly for it?
Okay, so with diverticulum, I am not well versed in it. I do know that it's certain things that you can't eat because you have pockets, and certain foods like peanuts or sesame seed or little foods get caught in the pockets. So it creates an issue where there's pain, and that could cause like inflammation, and it could cause you to get like cysts because you develop infections from that. So that is pretty much mostly what I know. But if you do a little bit of research, that will give you additional information on what to avoid when it comes to diverticulum.
Thank you.
I've got another question.
Okay,
Go for
ladies.
it.
I need to schedule a consultation. But so
We can do that.
throughout my life, I've worked on, at least my adult life, I've worked on warming up my diet because I was vegan for a great part of that time. In the last few years, though, I've started eating some fish and some egg white. I am at that particular stage in my life where I'm going through the power surges and all of those wonderful things. And I went to an acupuncturist recently, and he suggested that I need to now transition from warming up my diet to cooling down my diet. So it's a huge transition to not use ginger, turmeric, spices, cinnamon, all the things that I'm used to. But then how do you know where the balance is? Because you just talked about making sure that you keep your diet warm. So it's an
But
interesting little balance there.
I
So
know, it really is. Everyone's system is different. There are people's system who they run hot all the time. So they need things that's going to cool them down. So for someone who runs hot, foods like cucumbers are really good to cool you down. So internally, sometimes you can actually feel what's going on, because I think what happened to you, Mandy, is that you needed to warm up your diet, but instead of understanding, or whoever told you didn't tell you that, okay, you want to just warm it up slowly, and then when you feel that you're okay, then now you can start adding a balanced diet. So you feel that when you're overheated and you get hot a lot, or you feel that when you are constantly cold a lot. So your body tells you how to regulate itself when you're going through things. Does that make sense? So
yeah.
once you get to that place where you no longer feel too hot or too cold, then now okay, I can balance things out. There are books that you can get that can really help with that. Because what happens is there are certain foods that is going to warm you up, and certain foods that are going to cool you down. And I'm talking about energetically that you don't even think about. Like I mentioned, ginger and garlic, those are things that are really warming. But things like cucumber and I want to say mangoes. Mangoes are cooling. Lemon is also very cooling. That's why you get like, and pay attention to the seasons, because the seasons can tell you like what to have. Like we're in a ridiculously hot summer. So maybe a lemon and watermelon drink can really help to cool you down. So once you start understanding how your body works and how cool you get or how hot you get, you can start regulating these things on your own. And if you don't want to do that, there are people like me or other clinicians or acupuncturists that are out there that can help you with certain questions to figure out what is going on with you.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
And on that, I have a question from Jennifer, who says, how do we book a consultation with you?
Okay, so, I believe my information is up, right, Natasha?
Not in the chat, but I'll put it.
Okay, so you can reach out to me. I will make certain that I get that information to you before we sign off, so that you can book a consultation with me. Anything else? Any other questions for me that I can answer? No?
Maybe it's emojis.
I think you've answered everything.
Well, that's great. So basically, conclusion, understanding your system, understanding your body, knowing what's going on overall with your system and your body will actually help you overall. It will actually, funny enough, help your gut, but it will also help your brain. You want the blood flow, you want everything to basically be moving and flowing to get you to that place where you don't have to wait for your doctor's appointment. It takes, anywhere from 3 to 6 months to see your doctor. And when you do see your doctor, all these things that you're doing to get you physically right work in conjunction with them. If you have a great physician, that can make everything work out in your best interest. So that's pretty much all I have today in What's Your Gut Telling You?